I don't like people taking the piss. So, because I would never the other way around. So I don't know. I don't know if you call that tight or sensible. I'm not sure, but
was the engineering business always in the background then? Because you clearly know your stuff when it comes to actually the inner workings and more so the motoring of cars. And that's from a background in engineering. So did you say you guys are making ratchet straps for the likes of Tesco's and?
Yeah, we sell probably straps a day, probably about 3,000 straps a day. So we do a lot. We're a big company. And the company Cymark, which was my granddad, my dad, now it's me and my brother. It's always been my main focus because it's always been where I've earned my wages and my security, pays for my mortgage. So work itself has always been definitely sort of like my main focus, and all the other bits I've employed people, done it at night time, worked till 2 o'clock in the morning for years. That's always been the second half of it, but it's almost been, getting 2 lots of wages because I was doing 4 jobs.
So you were the king of an on-the-side business before on-the-side businesses were a thing?
Yeah. Buying and selling is what I've always been brought up to do.
And when was your first major break with work or business?
I remember I bought a load of the kids' clothes I talked about. I bought these Debenhams kids' clothes, and I bought a lot, like I don't know, maybe 20,000 pieces. It was a lot of stuff. And they were very, very cheap because it was end of line. And I remember that Debenham said to me, like, the only thing I've got to do is cut the labels out and cut the price tags. But I forgot to do that. So then we went to the car boot sale, and these items back then, kids' clothes were so expensive. A kid's clothes was like 15 quid, and we were selling them for 4 quid. And my God, like, they'd each cost me about 30p. And the stuff we used to sell,
the margins you're making
was massive.
And there's not really any overhead on that either, is there?
It was like 7 quid for a stall at the car boot, and sometimes we used to take $1,000, $2,000. It was for a day's work. It was amazing, but obviously, like everything else, it doesn't last long. Then you have to find the new thing, which was, there's been all sorts of stuff: memory cards, SD cards, shake weights. Do you remember a shake weight?
What the hell's a shake weight?
I'm going to show you what you have to do. Is what you have to do. So you'll have to Google that.
Everyone wonders if that happens in the back of this van.
Is it never?
Well, I did have the adult entertainer on, and when the door opened and I asked the delivery driver saw us getting out, he gave me the nod of he'd certainly thought something had happened in the back of the van, even though to my displeasure it hadn't.
I love it.
But, so what the hell is?
So it was basically a fitness thing, which basically important stuff from China, the latest fad, and sort of doing that. And what's the latest thing we've had? iPhone screen covers. Currently, the big one which we lost, which you do win and lose, fidget spinners.
Yeah.
Like, we went into fidget spinners when fidget spinners were new. We sold thousands of them, and now I've got probably 20,000 in the warehouse at home. So
you've always just been buying and selling stuff in the background on the side as well? Because this exploded in lockdown. It's fair to say that people exploded with buying and selling stuff. I remember my other half was in the garage flipping clothes on Vinted, but everybody was doing it. There's now well-known brands you can buy wholesale pallets of clothing online and flip them. And I think the margins must just not be there anymore.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Is that something that you've had to deal with throughout your career, basically trying to find the next fad, the next thing that's going to blow up?
But the work we do with the engineering, we make ratchet straps, so that we supply Tesco's, Sainsbury's, like all the people, the high street stores. So I think a lot of the doors open from there. So talking to people when we were delivering there, and they'd say, oh, what you're doing with the old stock and stuff like that. So it was probably a lot easier for me to get it, and less competition back then. And when you went to the car boot sales, then there would be an old scale electric, or, there wasn't stuff like I was selling. I was selling brand new clothes at massively discounted prices and new items. And we had some of the stuff we used to have on the pallets. You used to open the pallet and there'd be like a sandwich toaster, which was green with mold, where somebody had like returned it like 12 months before. And then you'd find a bit of gold. They were all shrink wrapped in black plastic. And then you'd find a TV, which was like a 32-inch TV with a missing remote. You'd buy a remote from the shop for a tenner, and you'd make 3 times the amount you paid for the pallet. So it was always, then you'd have vacuums which stunk of dog hair. So it wasn't all good.
I mean, now, I mean, I've even fluttered with doing bits like that when I was between kind of what I was going to do with my life, but people would just like return anything if it has a scratch on it these days. So it sounded like you were doing that potentially in the golden years. I'm trying to get a scale of how big that kind of was. Because when you say 20,000 pieces of clothing, I can't really picture how much space, how much work that would have been to get through that kind of thing. And I'm trying to kind of build up a picture for the viewers of your kind of career. And we're basically saying that in the warehouse in the back garden, you were flipping clothes for a lot of your life.
Yeah, clothes. Anything I could buy and sell. We've dabbled in BMXs. We've dabbled in all sorts of mountain bikes as well. That did really well.
Stuff that you're passionate about.
Yeah, that was very much like that. Bike parts from China. We've always had a massive to give you an example. Probably we were probably selling about, in the heyday, probably about £3,000 a day on eBay. So it was really, really good. And but like I say, all of a sudden what you had would become out of fashion, or lots of people would have hold of it, and then you'd lose money on the last bit. So it was always building up nicely. It made me ill though. It made me ill, sort of working too hard. I had alopecia, lost some of my hair, stress, didn't do me any favors. So I wouldn't sort of recommend going too hard.
And did I also recall one of our conversations that you also had a legal battle as part of your career journey?
Yeah, I did. I can't talk much about it. But yeah, that was horrific. We made a product which was safety based. And one of the bigger brands came after us and sort of we went all the way to High Court, which was it was that big that I was in London, and the court next door was Heather Mills and Paul McCartney sorting out their divorce. So it was massive, and that made me really ill, made me really, really ill. And found out who my friends were at that stage, because it was a pretty crap place to be. Yeah, expensive store, lesson in life.
What does work mean to you? Is work just a means to motors, or do you enjoy what you do?
I used to enjoy it a lot more. I still enjoy it. I enjoy being here. I enjoy working with the people I work with. They're nice people. We've got good people. But realistically, it's a means to living. If I got the choice, I wouldn't come to work. That's for certain. Okay. If I had the choice. But I've got it was my dad's business. So I've got, and my mum's, and I can't just turn my back on that, and my brother doesn't want to either. But yeah, I'd definitely rather be at home playing in cars than here. That's for certain.
So what's your brother like in comparison to you?
He's about as different as it could be. He's not really into the stuff. He used to race motocross. He's got 2 beautiful little daughters and a wife. And I don't really socialize with him at all, because it's really difficult with family when you work together. If you don't see your brother very often, then you have to go out for a meal with him or a drink with him. Well, I see my brother every day, and I see my sister-in-law 3 times a week. So I miss his kids, and Senna doesn't get to play with his kids as much because of probably that. So what I will say about family business, it's really, one thing which is really good is, if you're at work and you fall out with somebody, you have this big thing and you'll never speak to each other again, and one of you has to leave or something like that. With family, we've had proper fights, as family business is really hard. And then the next day it's forgotten about. You have to continue the next day like it didn't happen. There's no grudges. So there's good and bad things, but working with family is very, very, very difficult. Very difficult, but yeah.
Has that become easier over the years with the age?
Yeah.
And what does he think about everything that you get up to with the cars?
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
You've never asked?
No. I feel embarrassed around friends. I was very, very, you'd probably be able to relate to this. I remember doing YouTube was fine in my back garden, and then I had to do it in front of people, which I found really difficult. And then I had to do it in front of my friends, which I found really difficult, the next level. And then in front of my family. And now I can do it in front of everybody. But it's a difficult one. I know that I know my nieces, like obviously people at her school know who I am, and I take my daughter to school, and then you go on, you know, you're at somebody's 4-year-old birthday party, and they come up to you and say, "Oh, I love your YouTube channel." And you think, "Oh God," like it can be quite embarrassing, you know, when people you don't think know about it. And so yeah, and Senna's going to grow up with a bit of that. As like, I'm far from famous by any means, but you know, there is people who watch our stuff who are in her circles, even kids in her class.